Hump Day edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, the Batteries Orthopedic Clinic, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Do business with someone you know. Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Day 3 here in Atlanta at SEC Football Media Days. This morning, first up is Sam Pittman calling the Hogs. So let's see, it'll be Pittman in the main room at 9:05. So let's do about 20 minutes here before I got to jet over there. Followed by Kirby Smart. And then in the afternoon session, we'll have Billy Napier and the Gators, and Mark Stoops and the Kentucky Wildcats. So all 4 schools today are bringing their quarterbacks. So we'll get to see KJ Jefferson, Stetson Bennett, Anthony Richardson, and then Will Levis. So I think Georgia is going to be the runaway favorite to win the SEC East. Kentucky, pretty trendy pick to finish right behind them in the East. So we'll get to see all those guys today. Busy day yesterday with Nick Saban in Alabama here. Clark Lee turned a lot of heads when he said in time Vanderbilt will be the best college football program in the country. I think you have to have at least a dose of realism there. I'm okay having grand expectations and setting them for your program, but how about baby steps for Vanderbilt? So y'all fire away. Let me know what you got. Mike Leach was funny as always yesterday, loose and disarming. Curious what state we'll have. Will Rogers back at quarterback, so we'll see. And South Carolina was the other team we got to talk to yesterday, so really enjoyed that. DeCarrion Joyner was a fantastic interview. And if you missed it on AFR, also had about a 20-minute sit-down with Greg Sankey. So it was funny. Normally, they block off these small windows for him to go place to place to place, and I was trying to be respectful, and I wasn't going to keep him. And I was starting to wrap, and he's like, "Are we done?" And so I looked over at Catherine, who's his associate at the SEC, who kind of maintains his schedule. And she's like, "You can keep going." I was like, "Okay." So it's like, I'm going to keep going until you tell me I can't go anymore. We had a really good convo, though, if you want to go catch that at AFR On Demand or on the Watch 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. So let's talk. Also, baseball draft is in the books, so we can certainly dish about that a little bit if you care to talk about it. So, all right, let's say some good mornings here. Chase Pellegrin, Aiden Cruz. Good morning, Matt. What are your thoughts on Georgia this year? Do you have any? Of course. I think Georgia is at a spot where LSU has been in the past and where Bama is perpetually, which is you win at a high level, you lose a bunch of players to the draft, but the players behind them are all 4 and 5 stars who've just been waiting their turn. So I think Georgia is going to be picked as a runaway favorite to win the SEC East, and they should. And I think they will win the SEC East. I don't know that there's teams there yet ready to push them, although I will say this about Kentucky. And we are going to talk more about Kentucky today because they have their turn. But if you look at Kentucky's schedule, Kentucky could go into November, a late November game against Georgia. It's possible they could be undefeated. Possible. But week 2 will have a big part to say about that. So here's Kentucky's schedule. They open with Miami of Ohio. Then they go to Florida. So it's Gainesville. It's tough. It's a night game. It's already set for 9 p.m. 7 p.m. Then they play so if you get out of Gainesville with a win, then they play Youngstown State, Northern Illinois. They're at Ole Miss, which is tricky. Lane Kiffin, great play caller. They've got to see what Ole Miss is going to be at quarterback, but it's a winnable game for Kentucky. They're home against South Carolina, home against Mississippi State. Back-to-back road games at Tennessee, at Missouri, both winnable. Home against Vandy, home against Georgia, home against Louisville. You got a veteran quarterback in Will Levis. You got a team that believes it can win. You built up on both lines of scrimmage. You do have to replace 2 NFL offensive linemen, but Kentucky is a sneaky pick. I mean, if they can go on the road and beat Florida and Tennessee, which I'm not telling you that's easy, but if they can go on the road and beat Florida and Tennessee, there's a really good chance Kentucky goes into that Georgia game in late November undefeated or with 1 loss. But a 10-2 New Year's Six season for Kentucky is very, very realistic. All right, Chase Pellegrin, what guys for baseball are now coming to LSU that weren't or were 50-50 on your original list? It's so I don't have my list with me. It's on my desk at work. So I'll have to run through that on the show on Friday. Chase Shores was definitely one that was 50-50, and he's coming. I would tell you this, like, here's something to keep in mind. So, Jack Pineda, shortstop from Baylor, who signed with LSU as a transfer. He got drafted and he's going to sign. So you're not going to get Pineda on campus. It's a bummer, but, and then also, Carter Young from Vanderbilt. Now, he went in, I believe, the 17th round. So it's a better shot that you get him on campus, but we'll see. But something to keep in mind is you do get Gavin Guidry, and so Guidry was a 50-50, and y'all, I was told, okay, I'll just say it. There were, and this is from an incredibly credible source, there were 5 different teams that offered Gavin Guidry $2 million, and he passed. He told all of them no. His number was higher than 2, and he stuck to his number. I mean, part of me goes, kid, take the money. The other part says, man, I really, really respect the kid who's betting on himself, who wants to be an LSU Tiger, believes he can come here and prove and get the number he wants. I mean, so, that's, so, Chase Pellegrin, I would tell you, Chase Shores, Gavin Guidry, Brady Neal. Brady Neal is the other one. And then Jaden Newt went late. But it seems like, Brady Neal confirmed to Leah Van. He's coming to LSU, which is massive. He was a 17th round pick of the Brewers. I'm telling you, like, LSU came through this, like, exceptionally well. I mean, I told y'all they were hoping to get 11 or 12 guys from this class on campus. They're going to do better than that. So, I mean, it really, really, really won't. It stinks that you're going to lose Dylan TeBrock. It stinks that you're going to lose Jack Pineda before they ever even get here. But you've got supplements behind them, which is really good. So, hey, Bill Schmid, good morning. Tim Gotro, what's up? Great interview with Greg Sankey. Thoughts on his answer to your question on heading toward one college football collective? Yeah, but, well, he, of course, what he said was, the way he answered it was, so I asked him my theory about there's just going to be one college football. He goes, I'm not going to say you're right. But he also didn't say you're wrong. Now, obviously, if we go to one college football, that means the dissolution of the SEC. It means conferences don't exist anymore, which means he wouldn't have a job. Well, he would probably have some high-level job within college football because he's who he is, but he didn't say no, which was interesting. The way he kind of worded it was, well, is there enough value, blah, 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 blah. And when you look at the NFL's annual TV deal, so the NFL's media deal was worth $100 billion with CBS, NBC, Fox, ESPN, Amazon. $110 billion over 11 years. So it'll hand teams $300 million a year. Okay, so NFL teams are going to make $300 million. Each team will make $300 million a year. That's 32 teams collectively going to negotiate their rights. What if the top 50 college football teams get together, go negotiate something similar? You think they can collectively do better than what they're doing right now? I do. Bob Poole, good morning. Weston Weaver, Jason Truax, what's good, man? Larry Garner, Jesse Post, Rap in Batches, Rob Scott 3, Who Dat? Jeremiah Hardell, Scone reports say that Michael Thomas could be cleared early in camp. How early would that be? Hey, Jeremiah, I'm going to put you this way. You've seen the videos of him running. Michael Thomas is 100%. Like, if he's not participating early in camp, it's because they don't need him participating early in camp. And I'm fine with that. Like, I don't care if Michael Thomas is participating in practice at the beginning of camp. I don't. I don't care if he goes through preseason games. Consider this. The Saints open up camp on the 27th, right? So today is so a week from today, the Saints report. Their first game isn't until September the 11th. From July 27th to September the 11th is 6 weeks. I'm okay giving Michael Thomas 6 more weeks to get healthy, stay healthy, get right, train, condition, and not go out there and risk rolling an ankle or getting popped or something like. He's fine. Like, I would bet my entire net worth on Michael Thomas being there week one, for week one of the NFL season. All right, Weston Weaver, with all the interviews you get to do, what's a dream interview you'd love to do? At media days, or just in any body at all? In media days, let's see, who haven't I interviewed that I'd like to? I've interviewed Mike Leach on the phone, but he would be fun. I mean, Saban's an obvious one, right? Never had Saban on the show. Hell, at this point, I'd say Brian Kelly. I still haven't had a one-on-one with Brian Kelly. That'd be cool. Jesse Post, hate to see Gervais go. Yeah, I mean, it's always the risk. So, like, if you missed it, Paul Gervais tweeted that he was coming to campus after day 2 of the draft, or that he was running it back yesterday. He got picked in round 12 by the Mets, deleted his tweet that he was coming back, and everyone was congratulating him. So it happens. So sometimes that's the risk, right? When you get past the draft pool rounds and you get into the later rounds, sometimes teams will still offer you money from that draft pool or oversign you. So, Gervais got what he wanted, and stinks for LSU, but I get it. Jameis's leg, Scone, after the draft. What is LSU's baseball recruiting rankings for the 2023 season? It's still by far the best class. It was incredible what they did. Damon Gilmorgan, Moore and White House visit rant popped up the other day. Pure gold. That's so good. Cole, will there be Scone and Tea? No Scone and Tea tonight. I will be back at Oliver Twist next week. Jordan McNeese may have been out of the loop, but any more news about what SEC divisions would look like? So I did talk about that with Greg Sankey, and he essentially said they thought they would have a format by now, but for some obvious reasons and some not so obvious reasons, they haven't been able to agree. I did press him on that yesterday. If you want to go listen to it, I point blank talked about the playoff expanding and negotiating a new TV deal and things along those lines. So, and Jordan, just to be clear about what you asked, what's being proposed or talked about the most is a one division league. There would not be an East and a West. It would just be one division, but the format would change. One of the things he did say that is sort of a sticking point, to the contrary of that, is tiebreakers. It would be harder to figure out tiebreakers in the conference. Gulf South, Thomas has been playing football his whole life. Don't think he forgot how to play, just as long as his conditioning is right. Completely agree. Eric Wilderotter, ignorantly, it seems like NIL offers can start competing with picks past the 10th round. Do you think any of that happens to benefit the baseball this year? So, Eric, I 100% think NIL opportunities mitigate some of that. Now, when you're talking about what I just mentioned with Gavin Guidry, where he passed on $2 million a handful of times, no, I don't think he's getting $3 million in NIL money to come to LSU, but I do think it's important when, especially for out-of-state guys, because remember, very few, if any, and I don't know how the numbers work this year, but very few, if any, guys get a full ride, right? Because you got to split 11.7 scholarships among your roster, so very few guys get 100%. So what you can have happen, though, is NIL can offset that expense to where every kid gets to go to school for free. And that's big because that's the Vanderbilt advantage. That's what Vanderbilt's been able to do by giving every kid academic scholarships, right? So that's what NIL can do for LSU is to say, hey, look, if you're from out of state and it's going to cost you 20 grand to come to LSU this year or 15 grand, like we can find that NIL money to offset it so you don't pay anything out of pocket and you get a little money too. And that's important. Brian Kelly to go. Does fall camp start August 1st? I think it's August 4th. They haven't given us a schedule yet, but I'm almost certain the date that I've heard talked about enough already is August the 4th for LSU. Brian Penn, good morning from Twin Falls, Idaho. When is Russ going to be back on the show? I believe we'll do a season preview with Russ the week before the season starts, but maybe we'll get him at some point this summer as well. Ronnie Duke, Jeremiah Hardell, would you rather have Greg Brooks and Joe Fouché? Get Dwight McGlothern back. I would rather McGlothern. That's no disrespect to Brooks and Fouché, but I would rather a lockdown cover corner, which I don't know if LSU has. Respect to Jark Bernard Converse, who was all Big 12 last year. Respect to Mekhi Gardner, who is really athletic and they like him a lot. Respect to Sevin Banks, who's been a starter at Ohio State before his injury. I know Dwight McGlothern can play at this level. At a high level, and I would rather a lockdown corner than a safety when LSU's got plenty of safeties back there with Major Burns, and you move Jay Ward back there, Sage Ryan, Derek Davis, you got dudes, Jordan Tolles, you got dudes back there. So, Bob Poole, Deborah Coward, good morning, excited for LSU baseball. Also, have been enjoying Rougarou games this summer. All right, Deborah. Kelly Gross, good morning. Let's see, Chase, potential starters for baseball from incoming recruits. I know Shores, but wasn't sure who else. Well, if you're looking at the rotation, I think you're starting with. You're obviously starting with Thatcher Hurd from UCLA and Christian Little from Vanderbilt. So then you got all the other guys, vying for maybe that third spot. You got a lot, Blake Money, Ty Floyd, a lot of dudes who've been Dutton, Taylor. So you got dudes. And Gavin Guidry could start on your infield. You return Jordan Thompson, but you lose Cade Doty. So one of your middle infield spots, and then Jacob Berry obviously third. So two infield spots are going to be up for grabs. And Gavin Guidry could take one of them. We'll see if Carter Young ends up on campus or if he signs, but. Looking at Brady Neal behind the plate is a dude. So we'll see if one of the freshmen can come in and win the catching job. Mike Concho. What's up, Matt? Great job as always this week with your coverage and interviews on AFR. Thank you, man. I appreciate it very much. It's a lot of work, y'all. I'm not gonna lie to you, these are super, super long days, but I do enjoy getting to do the interviews and talk to all the players and all that stuff. Brad David, love the Cutcliffe interview. Never knew he was such a nice guy. Such a genuinely nice guy. I asked him off air, I was like, would you mind coming back on the show? He was totally down. That's the kind of guy I could have on for an hour and just go a million different directions with a conversation. I'll see if I can get him maybe in the next few weeks. Cole asking about AFR podcast. Thank you. You're not the first to bring that up to me. And I did message our production team to make sure. I don't know what the issue is. I wasn't aware of that till this morning. So, but I did pass it along. So thank you. Matt Plavidal, how did LSU do in the draft with both portal guys, current players in high school? Really better than I think any of us could have expected. Cutcliffe's line about talking too long to order off the menu was a slice of fried gold. That's a great point, wasn't it? If you missed it, he said if he knows about a quarterback, like if it takes you 5 minutes to order at dinner, you're indecisive. So, when you're in the pocket, you got 3.5 seconds to make a decision and go. So that was interesting. Jeremiah Hardell, cool seeing you on Super Talk Mississippi. Yeah, thanks. We actually had dinner with those guys last night. Great people. Some of my favorite when I get to come here. Congrats to Razelman going to the Yanks. Yeah, I'm bummed that Razelman is leaving LSU. I'm pumped that he's going to the Yankees. All right, y'all, we're done. It is 8:57. I got to get to the main room in 8 minutes for Sam Pittman. So this actually worked out fantastic. As always, shout out to Brock, Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. Remember, Brock Rock and Wine is coming up on August the 6th. brortho.com, brortho.com, and of course, Hudco Roofing, hudcoroofing.com. Do business with someone you know. Hudco Roofing, hudcoroofing.com. All right, y'all have a great day. Thanks so much. Peace. AFR3.